But you
Totally.
touched on the racial side of things, and that's something I
Right.
find super fascinating because I think it sometimes it isn't, but most times it can be. I want to explore that a little bit, like, and just before I get you to take the stage there, it's interesting because in Australia, let's say our truckloads of plastic that end up in the ocean due to just littering and bad management ends up in countries like Indonesia, Philippines, Papua New Guinea, these nations that don't have the facilities to dispose of that effectively. And then we create this insanely toxic environment and nobody's held responsible because you
Right.
don't know where it's come from. There's no barcode by the time it comes there. It could look like something that's degraded. It could look, there's no responsibility there. So I want you to take the stage on why exactly this can be a racial issue.
Right. So thank you for bringing up that like it's hard to trace where this plastic comes from, because that's a big aspect of it, is that a lot of this waste business is very secretive and very non-transparent, which adds to that lack of understanding, even though frontline communities all over the world have been facing these issues since plastics were first mass produced in the 1940s. And, it's only gotten worse as plastic production has increased. And so when plastics are shipped overseas or to another nation, it's not always by ocean, it's sometimes by rail or by truck or by train. Oh, sorry, I said that already. Rail and train are the same. Anyway, but we have frontline communities that are often lower income or communities of color, and these communities are often apart from those wealthier, richer, often whiter places where not in my backyard prevails. And so it's really cheap and easy for businesses to say, okay, I'm going to ship my waste to um, a community of color, because there are no protections in place to help these communities. In
Mm,
fact, zoning laws, and I'm speaking again from the US, but in the US and globally there is a lack of protections, but specifically in the US, zoning rules have been racist for a very long time. And it's like we have to really look back in history and see, how did we get here? Because a lot of people are saying, oh, well, there's pollution everywhere. It's like, yes, but when you look at, the vast majority of disposal sites and also production sites of plastic being located in these communities that have been long underserved, there is a pattern here and there's a reason. It's a long legacy of these issues happening, and I think
mhm.
the more that we look in history to see how did we get here, the better. Because how are we going to undo the problems? We need to implement protections. We also need to remediate and aid frontline communities in getting solutions. So